Hey TIEGers, I hope you're all keeping safe and well out there. Guys, I am just quickly interrupting Holly just to give you guys a trigger warning advisory content, guys. It is the case of Jeffrey Dahmer, and I'm just going to say it is for some people a massive trigger warning. So please be aware of that. Please click play if you wish to hear this case. If you don't, then please wait until next week or check out last week's video. Thank you guys. Also, hit that subscribe button and check out that new memberships button, guys, with fantastic opportunities, perks all around. Guys, thank you ever so much and be safe out there.
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, then congratulations, you have reached True Crime Tuesdays. I am your host this week. My name is Holly. I am your host every bloody week. Ooh. How's it going? So today's story, if you didn't watch the video last week, which I fully recommend that you go and do, I did let you know what we're doing this week, and the story is the story of the very, very infamous, naughty man, Jeffrey Dahmer. So if you would like to hear this story, then please stick around. Don't forget to like this video. Give us a subscribe, comment down below your thoughts. So as you would have seen from the start of the video, Mikey has left a trigger warning, a warning in general that this video is going to be extra gruesome, just a little bit extra gruesome. It is. So if you don't like the subject of sexual violence, dismemberment, stuff like that, murder in general, then what are you doing on this video? I recommend Peppa Pig. Go and watch Peppa Pig. Although she's also shady. So as always, if you do hear any random noises, my dog is currently sleeping at the side of me here, and my cat has just exited the room from this side. She's been extra sassy today, so she might come back with a little bit of a sassy meow. Or she might just jump on me and claw my eyes out. Wouldn't be shocked at all, because she's So let's get into this story of Jeffrey Dahmer. Jeffrey Dahmer was... If you don't know who Jeffrey Dahmer is, then where the hell have you been? It is quite a recent one. He was an American serial killer and sex offender. That guy was just a different level of something else. He was born on May 21st in 1960. He was born in Ohio. He grew up in Ohio. So Jeffrey Dahmer had a pretty normal childhood. Would you believe it? He was fine. He had his mum and his dad, and I believe he had a couple of siblings, or just one sibling anyway. He was fine, but all of a sudden something changed, and he became quite withdrawn. He became uncommunicative, and he just had no interest in social stuff. And instead he turned to, at a very young age, examining animal corpses. So he'd go out in his back garden. He lived like near a wooded area. He would find dead bodies of animals and he would examine them, and he would even turn to killing animals himself just so he could examine them. I believe that he nailed one of them to a tree in his backyard when he was living on his own at a young age. So yeah. His parents were going through a divorce, which means that his father moved out of town, out of state, whatever, and his mum decided to go somewhere, God knows where. She left the house to Jeffrey, so he was on his own. And he also started drinking really heavily. So examining animal corpses and drinking heavily was his form of entertainment. So this drinking would continue in high school, but even though he was a full-blown alcoholic, he still managed to graduate high school. And then when he graduated, 3 weeks after, is when he would start to frequent the bathhouses and the gay bars where he lived. Now, at 18 years old, it's a bit naughty, isn't it? Because in America, the drinking age is 21. Yeah, in the UK, the legal drinking age is 18, so if he was in this country, people wouldn't have thought much about it. They didn't think much about it then anyway. So due to him being on his own, he was drinking heavily, he was bored out of his head. He seized the opportunity to act on his dark thoughts that he'd been having for most of his life. And he picked up a hitchhiker. His name was Stephen Hicks. And he somehow managed to convince Stephen, Mr. Hicks, to go back to his father's house and have a beer with him. When Steve decided that it was time to go, he got up, and as he was leaving, Mr. Jeffrey Dahmer smashed him round the back of the head with a 10-pound dumbbell. Warning, it's about to get dodgy. What he did then, Mr. Dahmer, he dismembered his body. He dissolved his body. He pulverized his body. And then with his body, he sprinkled it all over the back garden. And years later, when he would admit to this killing, he would say that the only reason that he killed Mr. Hicks was because he didn't want him to leave. So after that absolute lovely, disgusting act of violence and just sickness, it would be 9 years until Dahmer would commit another murder. In the meantime, he attended college, which he didn't last long in because he just couldn't be arsed. He was a very clever man, though. Please don't think that he was not an intellectual man. He really was. So basically, his father got sick to the back teeth with him and was like, bitch, you're going in the army. Get lost. So his dad forced him to go in the army, where he served as a combat medic. He served in Germany from 1979 to 1981. But even though he was in the army, his alcoholism never went away and he was discharged. Yeah, he did spend some time, like, he left the army. He didn't want his dad to know, and he spent some time away, but he did in the end have to go back. His dad got sick and tired of his shit and basically said, look, son, you're going to go and live with your grandma in Wisconsin, in Alice, Wisconsin to be exact. So off he went. He packed his little bag and he was like, yeah, I'm going to live with my grandma, can do what the hell I want. I mean, I don't know why his dad thought it was a good idea that he would go and live with his grandma because, well, God knows, but he did. He went and lived with his grandma. He lived in the basement, I do believe, of his grandma's. So in 1985, while he was living with his grandma, he was still drinking. He would also frequent the bathhouses and the gay bars and stuff. And he would, I can't say that word, I struggle. He would coax men. You know, he would drug them, coax them back, you know, rape them, etc., etc., and he would murder them. He was, however, arrested twice for indecent exposure in 1982 and 1986. He only faced probation, basically, and he wasn't charged. Like, does this guy not already have a shady past? Not to charge him with exposing his widgie?
I don't know. I think the police were a bit shitty on this one.
So in September of 1987, Stephen Tuomi would be Jeffrey Dahmer's next victim. Dahmer met him in a bar, picked him up, took him home, drugged him, you know, and whatnot. So he picked him up at a bar, like, yo, what's up? Let's go back to a hotel. So they went back to a hotel room, and Jeffrey Dahmer woke up the next morning to a dead Stephen Tuomi on the bed, beaten and battered. And Jeffrey Dahmer would later say that he has no recollection of killing him. So it is believed that he had a blackout and basically did naughty things and stuff and killed him. But nothing ever came of that either. So after Stephen Tuomi, the killings happened sporadically. He had 2 more victims in 1988. He had only 1 victim in 1989. And in 1990, he had 4 victims. Now I could tell you all about these victims, but it'd take me all day, and this video would end up being an hour long, and that's not how I want it, basically. So all of these victims, he would lure, he would coax them from bars, or they were male prostitutes looking for money, and he would lure them back anyway. He would drug them, he would rape them, he would dismember the bodies, and he would just get rid of them. But he was also now taking photographs of these bodies, and he was also like preserving them in like a really scientific way. The skulls, basically, he was keeping the skulls of these bodies, of these people, and he was also keeping like their genitals, you know, so he could later eat them. So you know when somebody says, I want to eat you out, don't trust them, especially if they've got crazy eyes. Although apparently Jeffrey Dahmer was very good looking according to some people. I don't agree. So yeah, be careful of the good looking ones, because when they say I want to eat you out, they might chop your genitals off. You know, keep it for later. He would take photos of the dismemberment process. He would keep these and like treasure them forever. He kept them locked away in his side cabinet next to his bed. At this time, he was working in a chocolate factory where he would go on to sexually assault a 13-year-old boy. He was arrested for this. He was put on the sex offenders register. He was on probation for 4 years because he had a probation worker. And even though all these meetings with the probation officer, he still went on to murder people. At this point, Jeffrey Dahmer had moved out of his grandma's house, had his own little flat. People were complaining about the smell from the people that he was obviously killing, dismembering, putting in acid to dissolve and, you know, preserving everything. It was smelly. His landlord had phoned up a couple of times and was like, yo, neighbours are complaining about the smell, you need to sort it out. He was like, yeah, oh my God, it's the fish tank. The fish had died, I'd been away. All right, we'll sort it out. He'd ring up again. Yeah, my fridge is broken. I'm so sorry. I'll get it sorted out. Never did. Never bloody did. He lured. He lured. I don't know how to say that word. Lured. He lured people into his flat. And at this time, his crime had gotten worse and worse and worse. He had started lobotomizing people. Guys, he would drill holes. I think there was one guy actually in particular where he drugged him, raped him, was having a nice time watching the film and all this. And anyway, this guy woke up, and what he didn't know was that Jeffrey Dahmer had actually drilled a hole into his skull, right? And he was pouring hydrochloric acid into it or boiling water. And this guy, on the accounts of Jeffrey Dahmer, because there are tapes that you can listen to of his confessions talking about the crimes. This guy said, I've got a bit of a headache. What time is it? Because I really need to be going. He didn't know that he had a hole in his head, obviously. This guy, Jeffrey Dahmer, was sick.
He was sick?
On July the 22nd, 1991, Jeffrey Dahmer was in the need for killing again. He coaxed in this guy called Tracy Edwards and said, I'll give you £10, £20, whatever, $10, $20, if you will just come and keep me company for a little bit, because I'm feeling lonely, bro. Please come and stay with me for a little bit. An hour or two, that's it. Okay, I'll give you $20. So Tracy Edwards was like, yeah, boy, this is fantastic. I'll just get some free money, you know. So he did. He went, and when he went in the apartment, Jeffrey Dahmer got his knife out and forced him into the bedroom, and he managed to like restrain him on the bed, but Tracy Edwards actually got away. He managed to escape out of the flat, out of the apartment even, not a flat, because they don't have flats in America, yo. Out of the apartment. Anyway, he escaped out of the apartment, and he managed to flag down a police cruiser. And he was like, yo, you need to go and check this guy out. He has got a knife. He's just tried to tie me up. He tied me up. And he tied me to the bed. And the police were like, what? So anyway, the police went in, and when they went in the bedroom, they found the knife, and they also found the photos of the dismembered body. So this led to the arrest of Jeffrey Dahmer. Upon further investigation, they found a severed head in the fridge, staring back at them. Around the apartment, they found 3 more severed heads throughout the whole apartment, okay? They found multiple photos of victims, and also human skulls were found as well. In the closet, the police found an altar constructed out of candles and human skulls. So Jeffrey Dahmer was indicted on 15 counts of murder, and on January, actually, it's just gone exactly 20 years ago that Jeffrey Dahmer's trial started. So it started on January the 30th, 1992. So Jeffrey Dahmer tried to get out of this, and he was like, yo, I'm actually insane. Which, people, if you obviously you've heard the story now, it's believable that he is actually fucking insane. But no, he tried to get out of it by saying he was insane, and this was based on his extremely erratic impulses. And the jury was like, you are sane, you knew exactly what you were doing, so no, you are guilty of 15 murders. And he did actually get 15 life sentences that added up to 957 years in prison. He would later then admit to the death and murder of Stevie Hicks, which also added another life sentence onto the 15 already life sentences he'd already got. Yeah, so he went to jail basically, and there were 2 attempts on his life. The first one of the inmates tried to slit his throat. This didn't work, he just got superficial cuts, and you know, that's that. However, on November the 28th, 1994, one of the inmates in the prison, while they were cleaning a shower cubicle, kicked the shit out of him. And Jeffrey Dahmer was found alive, but on the way to the hospital he died from an extremely bad head trauma. That is how Jeffrey Dahmer died. What do you think? What do you think? Crazy, right?
Guys, thank you so much for joining Holly and myself here today on this episode with Jeffrey Dahmer. So guys, next week Holly is bringing you the case of the Toy Box Killer. Guys, smash that subscribe button in the face with that daily notification arm bell. Show this channel some love. Check out the new memberships button, guys, that's appeared as well. Check out all the amazing perks you get and all the opportunities you can get as well. Guys, thank you ever so much. And Holly, we'll see you next week.